Salutations, one and all. This is my review of RWBY Volume 7, Episode 7, Worst Possible Outcome, and yeah, that's fairly accurate. I mean, not as bad as I was expecting. I figured, there'd just be mass riots and chaos after last episode, like I said in my last review for the episode before that. But instead, we just have a very dark world outcome where everyone isn't hiding from the Atlesian soldiers. There's a curfew going on, everyone's in fear, and it's just a very, very dark time. Though, quick explanation, this is in fact not martial law, as Winter suggests later on. If martial law was in place, it'd essentially be slave labor. You'd basically either obey what the military told you to do, or you'd be arrested, or shot. Depends on which government you're referring to, but neither are particularly good options. And from here, we get the best hint of Nora's backstory ever. And we first saw her way back when in Ren's village. It was obvious she wasn't from there. She was dirty. She was filthy. She was an orphan who had escaped from something. And now it looks like we're getting a hint of that. She's outraged and horrified and angrier than we've ever seen her before about what Ironwood's doing, about what he's doing to his people, how he's forcing them to live for his own reasons. I mean, whether or not they're justified reasons, he's not the one suffering because of it. They are. And I'm really thinking this has to imply something about her backstory. Either an abusive father or she lived under some sort of dictator at some point. I mean, I'm not sure where or when she could have lived under someone like that. There's been a lot of theories online that she used to live in Mantle and was used to the suffering she saw there, but I can't really figure out how she'd get from Mantle all the way over to Ren's village. It seems like a large distance for a child to travel. But yeah, Nora's past experiences have caused her a lot of hatred for dictators. And Nora is pretty shocked when Ren says that he's all for Ironwood's plan here. But again, this hints at the different backstories they've had. Ren was at least partially raised by his father, a strong, strict man who gave him orders and expected him to follow them. To Ren, there's no difference. Ironwood is in command just like his father was, and if he gives an order, he should listen. I mean, it's obvious he's still trying to make his father proud and do what his father would have thought was right. He's still wearing his father's freaking dagger on his arm. Even more prominent now than it used to be. It is obviously going to lead to a lot of awkwardness and anger between the two of them, but if done well, I think this could lead to some really great discussions on the on power and how it's meant to be used, and I'm excited to see that. I mean, a lot of people online have been complaining, Ren and Nora haven't been relevant since Volume 4 or 5. And while that's definitely been the case, I think this would be a great chance to explore Nora's backstory and to give some more in-depth character analysis to the two of them. I'm excited to see that. A few other things I want to mention before we move on. I absolutely loved this robot arm giving Penny a head pat. It was the cutest, sweetest thing ever, and it was just so hard seeing how heartbroken she is now that people have turned against her. Also, once again, we saw this thirsty mom. I mean, she's the one that gave John the casserole, and we saw her again at Robin Hill's victory party, ironically named right there. Now we see her again here with her child, and same model as before. I feel like this character is going to be important. Like, they're going to end up playing a role very soon, or in the finale somehow. I'm just not sure exactly what that's going to be. I mean, RWBY's done a really good job this volume of hiding things in the background and doing some great foreshadowing, so I'm really hoping she plays more of a role down the road. Oh yeah, we finally saw these semblances of Robin Hill and her happy huntresses. Mary Marigold can create an invisibility field, which very cool and very impressive. I just love how these soldiers are standing out there like, wait a minute, where'd the truck go? I mean, on the other hand, though, I kind of feel like they should have been briefed on exactly what all their powers were, so they shouldn't have been tricked so easily. And then we get Fiona, who atomizes a truck and stores it in a pocket dimension inside her hands. Yeah! That's not normal! I mean, even by the rank of semblances, I think this is crazier than Raven and Crow being able to turn to birds. I mean, when that was said, everyone's like, that's crazy. They can't do that. That'd be impossible. She opened up a pocket dimension in her hand and stored an entire truck that she just atomized into it. That's crazier. So yeah, I want a lot more information on Fiona and exactly what the limits of her abilities are, because right now, she's basically a god. And Robin is a freaking lie detector, which actually ticks me off even more. Ironwood, why did you not talk with this woman? Why did you not make a deal with her? It isn't a matter of her trusting you or not. It's literally, you can tell her the truth and she will 100% believe it. I mean, it's obvious that she is working for Mantle, not Salem or anyone else, so... Yeah, you really could have done... So really, Ironwood had no reason not to talk to her because she definitely would have trusted him. Yeah, that's just annoying. I mean, she went to Atlas Academy, so obviously Ironwood would know what her semblance is, but just... Also, how is this not her, primary political promise? I'm Robin Hill, and I'm going to keep those politicians honest, because I'm literally a living, breathing lie detector. Yeah. Alright, so hopefully that plays more role down the road. We'll see about that. Then we get to see Tyrion's background, essentially. Mass murder wanted all across Anima, and it's weird that so much of this report is blacked out. Like, what exactly are they hiding here? But it's obvious Pickrell believed that Tyrion was such a threat that he needed more backup, more help in transporting him to whatever prison he was going to. But no one believed him, and he was replaced with Cornetta, who gave a distress call 12 hours in because they were attacked by a large swarm of Grimm. A little concerning this one part, the bodies of blank 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 were never found. It is presumed they were blank 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 blank. Not sure what says under there, but that's fairly terrifying. I don't even really imagine it. Also, based on this report, it seems like Salem herself came to rescue Tyrion because it was recorded that Cornetta kept saying, "What are you? What are you?" Probably in reference to Salem herself, and Tyrion kept referring to her as beautiful. So yeah, Tyrion was a known murderer, assaulter, and kidnapper who was to be transported to custody, but Salem found out about him and rescued him, and he immediately fell in love with her because she was so powerful and beautiful and crazy terrifying. So, a love story for the ages, essentially. Oh yeah, and then Pickrell was murdered shortly afterwards. Then we get a really great moment between Blake and Yang, which I really liked. Essentially, Yang starting to wonder, you think we should have told Ironwood that he's in a fight with an immortal, unkillable witch who can't be stopped? I kind of feel like we should have said that before now. And maybe, yeah, but it's fairly obvious at this point that telling him wouldn't really do much good. He's pretty much in the middle of a mental breakdown, and a fairly severe one at that. We see some serious PTSD from him at the end of the episode. And I think if you told him at this point, he would go crazy or jump out a window or just do something insane. And finally, we got the conversation between Blake and Yang about how they basically murdered Adam. Yay! And I've gotten a lot of flack online about this. And I'm probably going to get more in the comments down below, but let's just get into this. They killed Adam. Yes, you could argue with self-defense, but I mean, they straight up impaled him while he had no weapon and no ore to defend himself with. Were there other options? Arguably, I mean, they might have found a way to restrain him and get him locked up in jail somehow, but I mean, at least in the eyes of the law, especially since Adam was going for a weapon when they killed him, it could definitely be argued that it was self-defense. And even more so, if they had thrown him in jail, he would have found a way to escape and come after them again. Hell, even after Adam was thrown off a freaking waterfall and stabbed twice, people are still arguing, oh, he's alive, he's fine, he's gonna find his way back to them and try to kill them again. Because that's just who Adam is. He's a man who does not give up when there's something he wants, when something he feels he deserves. And he would have come after them again, I can guarantee it 100%. That all being said, though, they did take his life. And regardless of whether it's justified or not, doing that to a person, it hurts the soul. It leaves an impact on you. It has to, or you become something less than human. And again, this wasn't just some stranger or some crazy terrorist guy who was trying to kill them. This was someone Blake knew for years of her life. Someone she truly cared about. Someone who she ran away from her family to be with, and who she thought she'd spend the rest of her life with. It has to leave an impact on her, or she becomes less than the monster Adam became. Anyway, then we flash over to Penny, and they're recovering her visual data, try to upload it online, and say, see, Penny didn't actually do it. But of course that won't do too much. Everyone's going to argue, oh, that footage was fake. The footage I saw that day was the real one. I'm sure of it. And this annoys Maria, who's like, oh, I miss the day when we could just beat each other to death. That was a lot simpler. Oh, and also, Maria's back. And with everything else going on this episode, it actually took me a minute to realize, hey, wait a minute. When Maria get here? Apparently, she's been giving Pietro a hand getting the Amityville satellite ready this whole volume. Which, okay, I didn't think she had any history or experience as an engineer, but good for her. It'd definitely be very unfortunate if it turns out she's been secretly working for Salem all this time. Might have a theory that says that, but it's very unlikely. And Weiss realizes there's a fairly good chance her father's involved in all this, because he has access to the power system, the network, so he could give access to someone else, say a world-class hacker who keeps running circles around them. Hopefully that's brought up next chapter. And then we finally get some really interesting background on Penny, which I really liked. Though there's one thing I want to clarify real quick. Pietro said that his proposal was chosen among everyone else's. That means everyone in this photo, even the really evil-looking guy on the right-hand side, Watts, had their own proposal on what would be the main thing, what they would all be working on, what would be the next key to defending Atlas. And Pietro's was picked above his, which may be part of the reason why he went evil and angry and wants revenge against Atlas. I mean, he also faked his own death, so I'm assuming it was something fairly horrific, like brainwashing soldiers and becoming soulless killing machines, or turning everyone to androids like Ironwood, or something equally horrible. And then we get the big twist of the episode, which I absolutely loved. Pietro did not create an artificial aura. He gave Penny part of his own, and I don't think anyone actually knew this. I don't think Penny knew this, because she even said to RWBY way back when in Volume 2, I am the first construct with an artificial aura. She believes that she is an artificial aura. She doesn't realize that her father actually gave up his own life, or part of his own life, to give to her. And based on Maria's expression here, she didn't know either. Because Maria looks shocked right here. I mean, really, he essentially gave Penny part of his soul so that she could exist. And what's more, he's almost out of it. If Penny dies again this volume, if she's broken, there's no way that he can put her back together. Which is why I'm still convinced they're going to be putting her in a human host created by the staff of creation. But we'll see about that. Anyway, then back over to Blake and Yang as they're fighting Robin. She has some really impressive acrobatics, and her weapon seems to fire darts of some kind. I mean, they don't look all that sharp. I don't think they could be filled with dust either, so I'm not exactly sure how much damage these things can do. Hopefully we'll learn a little more about those down the road. And then finally, Blake started using her semblance to its full potential again, which I absolutely love, turning her doppelganger into a fiery explosion. I mean, seriously, she used that on Torchwick and then, never again, even though it made her way more powerful. Seriously, girl, what have you been holding out for? You also saw Yang launching fireballs from her fist, which was very cool. I like that. That was seen in the opening, too, and it really does increase Yang's potential, being able to shoot fireballs to distract the enemy so she can get in closer and land the heavy hit. I really like that. And then they decide, you know what, we're just going to tell Robin the truth because she's getting in her way too much. And Robin's response here is really interesting. When they tell her Ironwood's building a new communication tower, her response is, that doesn't make any sense. Not, I don't believe you, not anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. Meaning there is something she knows, she's been told by someone else, or she's attained a piece of information from somewhere, that Ironwood is plotting something different than that. Is there a spy in an organization that's working for Salem? Was she contacted by Watts with other information? Did she receive a clue somewhere down the road that points to him building something else? I'm not sure, but this line feels really interesting and really important to me. And then she calls Yang fisticuffs, which is very cute. I mean, so far we have Marrow being called Wags, RWBY being called Pipsqueak, and Yang being called fisticuffs. And I'm very excited to see what other nickname she comes up with. And of course, Yang has to make a joke about her semblance being handy, because of course she does. And then Robin almost swears. Which a first for RWBY. Good for you. Anyway, I really like this whole thing, Blake and Yang going out of their way to tell Robin the truth, to try to get her on their side. I mean, a lot of people are annoyed, they're thinking, oh, she's going against RWBY. But RWBY literally made that same suggestion last week. She said, hey, why don't you just talk to Robin? I'm sure you can get her to understand your point of view. And hey, they talked to Robin and they got her to understand their point of view. Yay! I'm just really hoping Yang and Blake don't keep this a secret from RWBY. I feel like she needs to know. Because, she is the team leader. And because that will affect what happens moving forward. Anyway, then we see the Chamber of the Winter Maiden, and wow, this is pretty epic right here, I gotta say. It looks absolutely freaking amazing. And fun fact, the Staff of Creation is keeping Atlas in the freaking air. Yeah, it turns out it's being used to create a limitless supply of energy to keep them airborne, which is just absolutely 100% confirming the fact Atlas is gonna fall out of the goddamn freaking sky. I mean, at some point, all 4 of the relics need to be in the same place, same time to the gods' return, and that leads to the big epic finale, whatever. But yeah, so the staff's gonna be taken, Atlas is gonna fall out of the sky, like we've all been saying since we first saw the city. My only hope is that it doesn't crush Mantle on the way down. Sadly though, they can't use the staff to raise Amity because it can only be used in one thing at a time. And I guess that one thing is being used to create infinite energy to keep Atlas afloat. Seriously though, let's not let Salem get a hold of this relic, because if it can create like limitless energy, I feel like she could use it to make like Limitless Grim or Limitless Warrior just to drown the entire planet or something else horrible. We also get a really interesting line right here from Ironwood. Get a communication tower up in the sky higher than the Grim can survive. Now, that's interesting right there. Because as far as I know, Grim don't actually need to breathe. So are they bound to something on Anima, on something on the planet itself? I mean, it was also said that dust loses its powers when it gets too high in the air. Is it the same thing with the Grim? The gods or laws or reality or something in the planet itself binds every magical power source to it, so if they go too far away from it, they just die? And I'm really curious about that. Anyway, then we get some really great Oscar moments. Ironwood essentially tells him, oh, don't worry, sooner or later you're going to lose your mind and your self-identity as you're consumed by a creepy old headmaster. Yay! And I really loved Oscar's speech right here. The path you're heading down, where you're the only one with the answers, where you do the thing you think is right no matter what the cost, it's not going to take you anywhere good. God dang, I mean, no, Oscar is still just a kid, but he is definitely learning from everything he's seen so far, and Ospin, you definitely picked a good host here. Unfortunately, though, this is not exactly what the general wants to hear, and he's fairly ticked off about this. To which Oscar replies, keeping our humanity, it's what makes us different from her. And Ironwood does not see this as a particularly good thing. He's worried that she's so savage, she's so heartless, she'll be able to do the things he never could. She'll be able to achieve victory when he fails. Then we get a whole little PTSD flashback as Ironwood remembers the helplessness he felt when he saw Salem's logo, when he realized that she was in control and he was absolutely helpless. Really like that. Yeah, really thinking they probably shouldn't tell Ironwood anything at this point because he's losing his goddamn mind. Then we get another little nugget of wisdom from Oscar. I think the best thing you do is sit down and talk with the people you're most afraid to. He's definitely not wrong. I mean, for God's sake, Robin is a freaking lie detector. You can very easily win her trust just by not lying to her. I mean, you don't even have to answer all of her questions. Just, if she asks something you're unwilling to tell her, just say, I refuse to answer that question, move on to the next one. That's all he really needs to do. Sadly, though, the person he's going to sit down with is not, in fact, Robin, but a good old Jacques, as he's invited all of them to dinner so that the general can defend his seat on the council. Yay! Not great, honestly. Though a lot of people are hopeful, this is going to be the big dinner scene we've been wanting, Weiss, Winter, Willow, Whitley, and Jacques all sitting down at the same table. That'd be pretty freaking hilarious. I'd love to see that. There's even some weird theories going on that Willow is going to openly flirt with John, become the next addition to his harem. It's going to become super awkward for everyone. I really kind of want to see that. I mean, she is a drunk, but I have to imagine she's at least a little bit functioning if she ends up coming to the dinner table. I just really want to see her next episode. I think that'd be really amazing. And I guess we're going to see the rest of the council as well. Kind of curious how they're going to be, how they're going to act. And there's a fairly good chance Watson uses his opportunity to try to assassinate Ironwood. And Frame Penny, or Ruby, or the Aesops, or Robin Hill, or really anyone else at this point, just to cause more panic and chaos. I mean, I am hoping this is, finally the moment we see the council and they're just all the Atlesian, upper class snobs, like good old Henry back when, and they're just, talking about how disgusting and poor everyone at Mantle is and how they aren't grateful for what they've been given. I mean, a big thing this volume has been the class divide. We really haven't seen the other side, the rich people yet, so I'm excited to see that. At the very least, even if we don't see Willow or Whitley. I mean, I'm still hopeful that Whitley's going to show up and tell Weiss, oh yeah, by the way, Father's working with a guy that's supposed to be dead and he's up to something evil. I'd like to see that. Especially if it turns out that Watts is their uncle. That'd be funny. But yeah, let me think of all that down below. What do you think's going to happen at the dinner? Did Blake and Yang murder Adam? Let's throw in some controversy in the comments section down below. Why not? Anyway, be sure to like, subscribe to the next video, and until then...
Peace.